A common assumption that people have of me is that I'm standoffish because I'm quiet, which I never really understood. Sometimes I like to listen or I like to just watch. My name's Noyz. I'm a rapper, beat maker, podcast producer, spoken word artist. Yeah, do a lot of things, and I'm from Brampton. Born in Toronto, grew up in Malton, spent majority of my childhood there. Moved to Brampton when I was 11 years old, and yeah, I've been in Brampton since then. Interesting to see just how quickly things have developed and how much the population has grown, even population demographics. Because I remember when we moved here, Brampton at the time, majority of the people in my class were white. And I was like, kind of a bit of a culture shock. And now it's kind of the opposite. I was bullied in Brampton a little bit. It's like grade 7, grade 8. I was one of the only 2 or 3 people in my school that kept our hair, and we were, visibly sick. The older I get, bullying just kind of comes in different forms now. Like there was a situation a few years back where, a group called Immigration Watch Canada was posting out flyers throughout the city of Brampton talking about how the European population here has changed so much, and this is not what we want for our cities. A lot of words like white genocide and things like that. And so it still exists. If someone wants to build a gurdwara or build a mosque, you see the resistance from the communities. That systemic racism is still here, regardless of how much we want to champion the fact that we are a city that has more people of color than it does white people. Brampton gets a bad rap. I feel a lot of people that aren't from here are probably the ones with the strongest opinion of here. It definitely has its flaws. I mean, it's just kind of subdivision everywhere. It's not really a walkable city. You can't really get around to connect and to do stuff. And that was the biggest complaint that I had actually growing up. There just wasn't much to do. So there wasn't a lot of arts-based things for kids to get involved in. I feel it's only really been in the last, handful of years where the city has made more of a focused effort to, have local artists perform at the Rose Theater or perform at Gage Park or perform in the downtown cores. And I think that's really done a lot to make Brampton more of a place with something to do. But I think the fact that there wasn't much to do was really the spark that led to so many artists coming out of this city, which has kind of been cool. So I have a bit of a love-hate relationship with the city. I'll always defend it, but it certainly has its setbacks and its drawbacks. I mean, housing is unaffordable. It's hard to get around. There's not a lot of jobs or industry in the city. Peel Police, what can you say about Peel Police? Some of the biggest, highest profile shootings of Black folks in the past few years have occurred in Brampton with Jermaine Carby, DeAndre Campbell. So there certainly is a lot that the city needs to improve upon, but at least from an arts perspective, artists are connecting with each other and they're building with each other and they're trying to turn the city around and make it into a place that actually reflects that creative hunger that's here. My love for music started at a very young age. My older cousins, anytime I would go to visit them, they would always have, the latest albums or cassettes at their house. And this was in the era of, when Wu-Tang first came out and Biggie first came out and Tupac and all that. So anytime I would go visit them, they always had the newest stuff. So that's when I got exposed to it and really fell in love with it. And then as I got older, I would borrow their music and make my own tapes of it. In Malton in the summers, like you could go for a bike ride and you'll see, the Punjabi household, they'll be playing Bhangra music, but then the next door, the Jamaican family, they'll be playing reggae music. And then, the West Indian family next to that, they'll be playing soca music. So like, you just absorb it. And it's that's the cool thing about it. It's like growing up in multicultural neighborhoods, you get exposed to a lot, whether it's language, food, music. Once I had my own Walkman in grade 7, like that was it. I can count the number of times I've been in like a professional recording studio, probably on one hand. Majority of the time it's in basements or in bedrooms. Obviously we've seen changes now where, you can, book studio time at Brampton libraries, which is incredible. But for when I was starting out at like 2008, 2009, you knew that one guy who had a mic, and then that kind of became the hub. There's something really special about those early years coming from a South Asian family where the arts weren't really encouraged. Once I connected with other artists that were from a similar background or had similar experiences, it was like finding a unicorn. It's like, I didn't know someone like this existed. I would get messages from kids in the States or from the UK or Australia or from Western Canada. And they just say like, this song changed my life, or this song, I've been listening to you for like X number of years. And stuff like that, it hits really hard. That's what's kind of kept me going. The people around me, as well as, the power that can come from the expression. I was never satisfied with just, releasing one project or doing one show. There was always that hunger to want to be better. The name Noyz is a bit of a play on the dichotomy of the artist versus the person I am away from the mic or away from the stage. Off stage, I'm very much an introvert type of person that only really speaks when I have something of value to say. On the mic, people say I tend to turn into a different person. On the mic, I can like rap really fast, or on the stage, I can be like jumping around, bouncing off things. But people are like, how is this person the same as this person? The onstage presence was difficult to develop. I remember the very first performance I did. I think I just kind of stood in place, and I didn't have any songs at that point either. It was just like a long verse that I did on that first performance. I want to be a performer that I myself would like to go watch or go see. And if I was to go watch somebody that's just standing in one place and not talking to anybody in the crowd or not making eye contact with anybody, it'd be a pretty boring show. So I feel like I had to understand it's okay to let loose a little bit and have fun. But right now, I'm working on a couple of projects that I didn't imagine myself doing 3 or 4 years ago. What I do want to do is just be open to opportunities and always be willing to learn and experiment and just try new things, because I feel that's where a lot of the growth is. For example, like I've been an MC for a very long period of time, but I didn't know how to make beats. And then one day I'm like, okay, well, let me just learn how to make beats, because I didn't know anyone else who did. My biggest priority right now is staying healthy and staying safe, because I do live with people that are immunocompromised. Things have been a little bit weird with the lockdown and the pandemic and everything. But at the same time, also trying to make sure that I am connected to larger things going on in the world. So for example, there was a rally at Chinguzi Park, the Black Lives Matter rally. So, I went up, wore my gloves, wore my mask, miniature hand sanitizer bottle with me. So made sure I was able to stay safe. The term Brampton boy has a bit of a negative connotation to it. When I hear that term, I basically just picture like a young, early 20s Punjabi male, likes to drink, listens to Bhangra music, driving an expensive car that his parents paid for. Like that's kind of the connotation or the stereotype that people tend to associate with Brampton boy. There's not a lot of people that I could consider in my friends group that kind of fit under those characteristics. A lot of the men that I know from Brampton or that I work with or associate with, they're like very creative. They have a lot to say. They're involved in their communities or involved in their families or in their businesses. There's something to be said for creativity and entrepreneurship in immigrant communities. When we talk about Brampton boy, I feel like that's another way to look at it. They're trying to create something for themselves and trying to create something better and bigger than just themselves. So we tend to look at like just this one small population and kind of dump this term on them, but there's so many other people that are coming out of here that are doing incredible things. So why not celebrate those people? It's kind of like the whole the way Six Buzz on these type of websites always try to throw shade on Brampton, but it's like the Polaris Prize winner is from Brampton. Like Hawaii Mighty's from Brampton. Like one of the dopest artists, Toby, is from Brampton. Like he's signed to a major label. Like Tory Lanez is from Brampton. Like they're basically running the Toronto scene or the Canada scene. You want to put this one label on it and paint broad strokes over everybody, but at the same time, who's on your playlist? I don't know if I identify as a Brampton boy. I don't know if I don't think I fit that stereotype. I do rep Brampton at every chance. If people ask me where I'm from, I say I'm from Brampton. So I'm a Brampton resident. I think I'm too old to be called a boy. Yeah, I think artists coming out of Brampton do have a duty to help expand the scene here. Obviously, there's a lack of performance venues, which makes it hard to really have a thriving music scene here. A lot of artists have to go to Toronto, or they have to go to the States or the UK or wherever it is to make a name for themselves. It's important that we bring it back. We make a name for ourselves abroad, but we still try to have more ways for youth to interact with the arts here. And that's one of the reasons why I started, doing my own workshops as a way to give young folks an opportunity to engage with the arts. Because I remember when I was 10, 11, 12 years old, I didn't know anything about how to write to a beat. I just wrote a line and wrote another line. And if it rhymed, I was like, okay, cool, I'm a rapper. But it's one thing to say, well, okay, I got out of here and I got mine and that was it. But then what about the other people that are trying to get in the same position or have something to say or have a talent to share. It's a matter of pushing and talking to the city and saying, we want to utilize this space. For example, like the Rose Theater, we've done shows in the Rose Theater, which was something that never would have been feasible before. So having people that are from that younger age group working in the city, working in arts and culture, I think that's a big part of driving that change. Someone who's working for the city, they're not necessarily as connected as someone who's actually an artist and is out there every day doing stuff. So a few years back, Team Backpack, which is a very big, based out of California, kind of hip hop movement that focuses on freestyle rap and brings together like the sharpest of the sharpest MCs together. And they were looking for MCs and cities to kind of do like, city centric ciphers. They actually did one for Brampton. So that was like a huge highlight for them to recognize and take a shine to what was going on here in this city. Even though we are small, even though we don't have resources, we are still doing great things and we're still being recognized. We did a freestyle outside of Sonny's Bar or Sonny's Grill. I don't even know the proper name of it, but Sonny, everyone knows where Sonny's is. Other things I'm working on, we just launched season 3 of the Immigrant Hustle podcast. Along those same lines, I'll be releasing a book which kind of looks at my own family's, journey from Punjab to Canada as somebody who's not from here, but now you're here. And what does it mean to exist on this land that has its own legacy of, racism and genocide attached to it? So yeah, just like asking a lot of big questions, I guess. And I think that's where a lot of good art gets made. I don't know where else to go with that. I don't know. I'm kind of losing my train of thought here.